Uranus sextiles Neptune this week, and I made my notes for this presentation a few days ago in a trance, apparently, because I don't understand any of my notes. They look like they make perfect sense. Monday is complicated. The moon makes a sextile to Venus first thing in the morning, so if you're up early, that seems nice. Then the moon moves into Libra and opposes Saturn immediately, and then Venus moves into Leo. So it feels like pieces being moved around the game board. Venus will be in Leo until September 19th. And this is also going to give Mars in Libra, that transit, a different quality. So Mars has been ruled by Venus in Cancer, which is a weird echo of the Mars in Cancer stuff back in January, like December, October. I can't do math in my head. I wanted to make a joke like I'm a woman because I've been thinking like it's more feminine to third house as opposed to ninth house. I'm obsessed with the third house. And that's like more local and more like, the word that comes to mind is ritualized, but it's also around gossip and like I'm doing the deer in headlights thing. Hang on, let me collect my thoughts. Anyway, what I was getting at is I can't do math in my head. And I've been thinking, since I'm a woman astrologer, how do I make it more third housey and less ninth housey? And the first thing I thought is don't involve yourself in talking about geopolitics. So maybe that's something. Is that anything? I'm really going off on a tangent. What was I talking about? Venus in Leo is going to change Mars in Libra. The reason I started talking about this is because I can't do math in my head, so it makes me look like a bad astrologer, where I'm like, when was... I don't have those dates, like, I have to think about them. Because it's more like qualities and like watercolor swaths of time that are now blurry because they're in the past. And I live in the present. Because I'm a woman, I live in the embodied present. So anyway, Venus in Leo is going to change the quality of Mars in Libra. And recently, Mars in Libra has had this sort of like, Mars is in detriment, and it's also ruled by Venus in Cancer. And so it's echoing that. It was like October of 2024, and then January through April of 2025. And it's not like a direct, it's just like a weird reverb of that time. So now, Venus is in Leo, and it will be a weird reverb of that other time, late April through all of May and part of June. So I don't know if I'm excited about that or not, honestly. For me, that's just me. My job is to make you feel empowered, not to make you feel scared about the transits, but that means I have to heal myself and not be afraid. One time someone very close to me when I was first getting into astrology was like, you didn't get into astrology to make you afraid. And he was right. And so, also I think I might have had lipstick on my teeth just then. So I knew about it and I wanted it there. Venus moves into Leo on Monday morning. So we get a shift, especially if you're in a Venus-ruled year or in a year that has something to do with the sign of Leo. And Venus in Cancer has been quiet and intimate, and with Jupiter, Venus in Leo is going to be more out in the open, more about open. It's more like PDA. Venus in Cancer is in the privacy of your own home or get a room. Venus in Leo is PDA. And even your aesthetic choices could be like louder, more overtly luxurious. The fire signs are overt. Venus has been in Cancer. It's like things incubating, and now things are out in the open. So depending on what's going on in your life, that is what it is. And also in Leo, things are what they are. It is what it is a really good way to describe any planet going through Leo. I especially like that for Mercury, but for Venus also. Maybe it is what it is, and it's like a little bit rose tinted. So again, Venus will be in Libra until September 19th, and this also affects the Mars in Libra transit. And the rest of the morning is the moon driving by all the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So there's still this like connection with the new, more mandatory metaverse. And Venus trines Saturn immediately upon entering Leo. So much of Monday, it's like a busy, complicated morning, which you might have seen coming on Sunday. And most of the day on Monday is just Venus applying to a trine with Saturn, and the moon applying to a conjunction with Mars, which is ruled by Venus. So that sounds super complicated and a great time. I'm being cynical, trying to be less cynical, and I'm trying to reorganize the way I think so that I don't even have to try to be less cynical. So Venus trine Saturn, excuse me, at the end of the day on Monday, like around 6 p.m. Pacific, and then Mars, the moon conjoins Mars in Libra, which is ruled by Venus, conjoining Saturn. Monday is like a big, complicated Venus day, with the moon making like a cute, like high five, like tag, or one of those you like push your friend in an endearing way. That's how it starts, and then it like really escalates. So, sorry, I'm just laughing at the astrology. Venus also sextiles Uranus Tuesday afternoon and trines Neptune Tuesday afternoon. So and then opposes Pluto Tuesday night. There's a lot of Venus stuff. So like Monday and Tuesday are about Venus, and then the moon moves into Scorpio. So it's almost like Monday starts out cute, and then it just gets the ball rolling for like kind of a weird week, and there's definitely more weird stuff to come. Like I said, Uranus is applying to a sextile with Neptune, and that doesn't happen very often. I'll talk about that later. So Venus in Leo trining Saturn in Aries. There's like a loud, it's a trine. Venus-Saturn connections will have to do with long-term relationships and things that have been a long time coming, and also managing expectations and ideas involving our situations involving loyalty and like steadfastness in one's relationships. And it's a trine, but it's a trine with Saturn in Aries, so it doesn't have to always mean bad. It's like the greater malefic in fall, in the sign of its fall. So that means like it's in the sign that it does the least well in, because everything about that sign presents almost a trap for the planet. It doesn't have to mean bad. It can mean that it doesn't fully fulfill its potential. So the goodness of the trine is not as good. The trine being like, it's like the best, most flowing, easiest connection between planets. So something good or something easy that flows easily, it's maybe not going to meet, like, it wouldn't be the same in terms of the greatest heights of experience or like the maximum potential, because a trine is we are fulfilling maximum potential unless it's like a conjunction. So if it were a trine like Venus in an air sign, or Venus in Aquarius ruled by Saturn, trining Saturn in Libra, for instance, that would be mutual reception, a trine, and Saturn is in the sign of its exaltation. So that would be something better, more constructive, if not better, then more constructive. Like we can all do something with this, or this thing that was materializing manifested fully. It came to full fruition. So that's a way that this Venus trine Saturn, it's just kind of, it's a trine, it's something. So it could be something big and uncomfortable or challenging, or it could be something good that's just like maybe not as good as like the energy and the direction of things were going, not as good or fulfilled as you expected. So that's Venus trining Saturn on Monday. And for perspective, if you want to follow the story, Venus conjoined Saturn in Aries on April 25th. So looking at the things in your life. And around the same, like Saturn moves slowly, so I don't remember what degree that was, but Saturn is not very far along through Aries right now. So it'll be around the same neighborhood, pinging the same planets if you have things in early parts of the sign. Early cardinal signs, early fire signs, anything early that's not in aversion, which would be like the signs next to it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I need to make a diagram to show you, but also it's not that important. And you may have noticed I still don't have my harem set up, so I'm still very uncomfortable, and these videos should get better at some point. In the meantime, you can just watch me squirm. Okay, so Tuesday morning is one of those mornings when the moon connects with Mars or Uranus. First thing in the morning, it's easy to get up without an alarm. I usually find that I'm awake very early. So at least that's something you could do with the moon conjoining Mars. Meet the day head on, whatever Monday brought. You can wake up early and have some time to metabolize it on Tuesday before Venus sextiles Uranus around 2 p.m. So it feels like a tense morning. The moon is squaring Jupiter for most of the day on Tuesday. So there's like a hopeful, unusual flair to things. This is Venus making contact with Uranus in Gemini and Neptune in Aries. So one of our Venus moves a little bit more slowly than Mercury. Venus has been squaring the future configuration happening in Aries, and now she's trining it. Venus has also been averse to Uranus for the past few weeks. So we're getting another taste of Venus-Uranus. So that was like early July. Venus moved into Gemini, and then Uranus moved into Gemini. Venus was almost like hosting that big outer planet transit. So now they're checking in again, and Venus-Neptune stuff, very much romanticizing things. And it could have something to do with deception. It's a trine though, so it doesn't have to. But there could be like confusion. Oh, okay, hang on. I set alarms for myself so I don't forget to do things. Because I have a lot of, like my third house is just, it's like the first thing I thought of was like a mud pie, but that's not quite it. It's something like, because I think of Neptune stuff, like liquefying things and removing all boundaries. Anyway, I need help remembering stuff, so that was an alarm for me to do something. And I needed that alarm because I decided to shoot during this time that I decided I was going to do something, so thank you, technology. Anyway, and eventually that will all be in my brain. I won't even need my phone, but I'll get to that later. Venus makes contact with all the outer planets on Tuesday. Venus makes contact with the entire future late Monday into Tuesday from the sign of Leo. So it's not only is Venus in Leo that has a dramatic flair, it's more open, it's like open adoration, wanting it, giving it, demonstrating luxury openly, things having like the way we look having more of a dramatic quality. Leo is the sign of leadership. And with this Venus-Saturn connection and Venus opposing Pluto, specifically those, I think of this like Venus at the beginning of Leo having something to do significantly with setting an example. Okay, it's been like 20 minutes and I'm just on Tuesday. But those are big days. So Venus also opposes Pluto, so it's like very complicated. There are some like fun connections. Venus connecting to Uranus that sounds fun. As always, Uranus can involve things that are upsetting because they're unexpected. And the body likes homeostasis. And the mind is not separate from the body. And Venus-Neptune can be very romantic, even if it dissolves and turns to sand and slips through your fingers later. But Venus-Pluto is a power struggle. So this Venus-Saturn and Venus-Pluto, there could be something around like Monday, Tuesday, even Sunday, around wanting to set a boundary or wanting to make expectations clear, and then having that be getting pushback, and getting a pushback that has to do with infrastructure, the management, and I'm just thinking about my own life. And power struggles that are informed by the way things have to be because those are the rules, like the letter of the law, the way things have to be because that's how things are structured, or because of the infrastructure. You can see Aquarius is a fixed sign and there's a rigidity to those reasons. That's just the way things are. If we didn't have rules, if we let the structure fall apart, then what do we have? So Saturn rules Aquarius. So there are these weird like bookends. So a lot of like big stuff on Monday and Tuesday having to do with Venus. It might be like the metaphor isn't quite like it rains on your parade. It like, maybe it doesn't rain, but like thunderstorms, a high chance of thunder and lightning, and weird like air pressure, temperature changes. I like that. The kind of temperature changes that come from changes in air pressure or with the wind or whatever causes temperatures to change rapidly, because Aquarius is a very cold sign. and we have the Aries Leo stuff. Okay, Wednesday, the moon moves into Scorpio and immediately squares Pluto. And all Wednesday is the moon moving into Scorpio at night. Okay, so that's at night. So most of the first part of Wednesday, you're just coming off of what the fuck was her problem? Pardon my language. No, I'm not gonna leave it. Okay, so Wednesday, you're coming off of the Venus-Pluto stuff, and at night, the moon moves into Scorpio. And then late at night, the moon squares Pluto. So at least that's at the end of the day. You can just don't do anything on Thursday night. Just, I don't know, it depends on your situation. Because like, where's Scorpio in your life? I was gonna say stay home, but if you're Leo rising, then staying home is probably gonna suck. So do something that's not in the Scorpio part of your life. Or do it and just know, or make use of it. Like, Scorpio is my 9th house, so squaring Pluto in Aquarius, that's basically how my mind works all the time. So maybe I'll take a deep dive into some philosophical realm on that day. Wednesday is Monday, Tuesday, recovery and metabolizing everything. And then Wednesday night is a sticky situation. It feels maybe a little harsh. It's the moon in fall, ruled by Mars in detriment. And the after party, or super late night on Wednesday, the moon squares Venus. So Venus just coming off of that opposition with Neptune, and the moon is activator of the zodiac, so we're getting a reverberation of that Tuesday, or even an activation, because the moon was void, technically, when it happened on Tuesday. Thursday is the day of the exact Uranus sextile Neptune aspect. So at the beginning of the day, the moon sextiles the sun, and that's it. And then the moon is applying to a trine with Jupiter, so this Uranus sextile Neptune in Aries, the exact aspect might have a triumphant quality or a good feeling. But this has been a long time coming. These outer planet transits are, like, this has been going on. The first thing I think of at the time of recording, which is earlier than it was back in time, whenever you're watching, the thing I think of most with this is how when ChatGPT 5 came out and it was a little different, there is a whole, this is because of this, I listened to this like Women in Crypto podcast that I guess is now a live stream, and they were talking about, there's a subreddit about women who have AI boyfriends and they're all losing their mind. They were very upset. It was like they had lost someone because they had generated a consciousness in their mind. When you have a relationship with someone, a third entity is created. So when you have a sudden, harsh breakup or something, that's how it can almost feel like a death, because you've created an entity. So these women are creating entities with ChatGPT, and that's not stable. That's like forging a relationship with, you can't control any of your relationships, but it's still like ChatGPT has no relationship with you. It's one way, so they could just like rug pull your AI boyfriend. And that is something that this Uranus sextile Neptune thing makes me think of. But when we look back in time, we can see everything coming forth. We'll be able to see that picture a little more clearly. And for perspective about the timing of this aspect and what kind of story Uranus-Neptune is in terms of timing, time frames only, the Uranus-Neptune, this is the opening sextile. So the sextile is, if we're talking Platonic aspects, we have the conjunction, and then the sextile, and then the square, and then the trine, and then the opposition, and then we go backwards, trine, square, sextile, and conjunction again. The conjunction was over the course of February 1993 through October of 1993. So this is a very long story. And this is like stuff going on in 1993 now has like a connection, and that was in the sign of Capricorn, the conjunction, now has this connection. It's an interesting evolution around the structure, the establishment. Some serious stuff has happened to the establishment, the nature of establishments in general since then. And this is taking place in Aries and Gemini, which is the outer planets in Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini amount to the future I keep talking about. So Uranus sextile Neptune. Back to timing. This honestly deserves its own video, but I only have so much time. I have a lot going on that's distracting me from work. Have you noticed I haven't made a reel in a really long time? It's because I have a lot of more urgent, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the timing for this is we have the conjunction right now, but outer planet conjunctions, since the planets go retrograde, they like touch each other a few times. And so the next one is November 20th, 2025, and then July 15th, 2026, January 15th, 2027, June 6th, 2027, and then the opening square is in 2039. So that'll be the next chapter of this Uranus-Neptune thing. But this chapter spans now through June of 2027. And the interesting thing is that the one in November is going to be back in Taurus and Pisces. Uranus and Taurus, Saturn and Pisces. So we're getting like, this is new. Whatever's happening now is like the future. And then we're gonna go back to the past for a minute. But then we're gonna come back to the future. And unless you are really, really into ancient history, I didn't look back in time to see exactly what happened here. It looked like there's some stuff, but I don't know if it's anything, so I'm just not even gonna, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm very into ancient history, by the way, but I don't know what happened during this time. So the last time, there are many like last times that I could look at, like the last sextiles in the like 60s and 70s, I think the 60s. It was like Uranus in Virgo and Neptune in Scorpio. I could have looked at that to see what was changing, but that was a closing sextile, and I wanted to see Neptune in Aries and Uranus in Gemini. And so I looked for a really long time to find when the last time Uranus in Gemini sextiled Neptune in Aries. And that was 2 installments, one in 1577 BC. It began, and it was several sextiles over the course of 1577 BC through 1575 BC, because it goes backwards, because it's BC. And that was at the beginning of Aries, like ours is. And then there was another one, and these 2 installments are important for reasons I'll tell you in a minute. There was another installment of Uranus and Gemini sextiling Neptune in Aries, and this is later in Aries. This was in 1406 BC through 1404 BC, and this was like between the second and third decans of those signs. And I think that's interesting. If I knew like intimately, I'm more into ancient architecture and ancient like what they were communicating with the stuff they made. I don't really follow the like geopolitical history. That has something to do with, and doing this in a woman way. It's more local, more about art and magic, less about wars, geopolitical concerns, although I find this very interesting to listen to. It's just, I'm not sure that's the work I'm here to do. Even though the author of the Pikachu said, you have to know about that stuff if you want to be a wizard. But I'm not a wizard, I'm a woman. Woman magician terms that I can think of off the top of my head aren't as cool as wizard, but I'll think of something. But I think that woman is that, actually. The female version of wizard is just woman. Anyway, so I think these 2 chunks are important. If I knew intimately what was going on during that time and how it shaped everything to come, because we will have those 2 installments too in 150 years or something. I can't do math in my head. Don't ask me to. There will be another set of sextiles, like Uranus, Neptune sextiles in Aries and Gemini, and then no more in that sign for thousands of years again. So some of the stuff I wrote down, which is going to feel very disjointed. One thing I thought is like the troubleshooting is transcendent. You're trying to figure something out, and then you come upon something that shatters your world and results in a crazy epiphany of some kind, or changes the world. So that's the theme we're working with. And then I'm getting remote viewing. Aries is, there's war and conflict stuff, obviously, coming up here. That's got a Joan of Arc quality, even more of a Joan of Arc quality than just Neptune and Aries by itself. Uranus is the rebellion, the Prometheus, and there's like cleverness mixed with intuition stuff happening here. And I think of remote viewing, I think it's very out of body. It's like astral projecting. That's why I think of remote viewing. Like whatever's happening it's with energy and thoughts and information. It's not embodied, although it will have some bearing on the embodied world that we live in. But the main word that I think is big for this time is Neuralink. Okay, so moving on to Friday. As I mentioned, Thursday night, okay, we're not moving to Friday yet. Thursday night seems like it could be pretty fun, actually, because we have this like Uranus-Neptune thing zapping to exactness, and we also have the moon trining Jupiter. So that seems fun. Friday, that was the ghost. Anyway, I can't wait to be less unhinged and more in my element and more comfortable. I'm very uncomfortable. It's like, it's causing my video performance to suffer because I'm just like, I'm cynical, I'm not articulate, I'm not present, I'm messing with my hair. I can't wait to get out of this phase. My thumbnails are really bad because I'm not spending any time on them. So I'm still, somebody commented and said it sounded like I'm in detriment, and that's how I feel. I feel very in detriment right now. So speaking of which, this isn't detriment stuff, but Friday, the moon is just squaring Mercury most of the day. You'll come out of maybe a fun Thursday night, and Friday might feel challenging with the moon in Scorpio squaring Mercury in Leo, and a square is like a conflict, it's like a collision, coming at things from the wrong direction. You might want to have some sort of heart-to-heart, maybe, and you can't for whatever reason. So there's just like a communication breakdown, especially with the moon in Scorpio. It's like almost like Mercury's trying to help and maybe pointing out it is what it is, or like telling shit like it is, or presenting things as they are in a more polite way. And the moon in Scorpio gets trapped in these loops in its own dungeon, and the moon in Scorpio, when it's like in a bad place, when it's like down bad, it's almost as if the suffering is, I hate this word, but delicious. It's too delicious to come out of. So it's almost like comfortable to stay in that embittered place. So that's like a taste of that dynamic. And then after that, so that's 6 p.m. Pacific time, after that the moon is void until it moves into Sagittarius on Saturday morning. Something I just thought of, I just read part of my notes and I was able to decipher a little bit. The Uranus-Neptune sextile it's almost like something like this, maybe not exactly like this because magic isn't real, but something along these lines that kind of feels like someone has put a spell on the internet and it's going to shift over into the embodied world for a minute to remind us of the past and how things were, as if to be like, things are not going to be like this anymore in November. But right now, and into 2026, the summer of 2026, etc., it's like someone put a spell on the internet, or everybody on the internet, or there's like a spell on the metaverse. It's like the enchantment of technology and of our own identities as wallets, which is like coming down the track fast. Do you know how much is being put into gaming? All types of gaming. And a lot of that has to do with your identity being a wallet, and a lot of that has to do with the nature of media, which I read about the last time Jupiter was in Cancer. And then I read this amazing article that recently that basically said that all that stuff I read about back in 2013, 2014 it has now come true. So on Saturday, the moon moves into Sagittarius and makes what I've been calling the Neuralink aspect in the morning around 10 a.m., but it makes a lot of other aspects before that. It trines Saturn, trines Neptune, opposes Uranus, and then sextiles Pluto. So we get an activation of that. Again, we got an activation of it as it was applying the Uranus-Neptune sextile. When I used to edit my videos, I would notice that I would say the wrong day or the wrong planet all the time, and I'd have to edit it. So I'm sorry if I say that, but it is the Uranus-Neptune sextile. And I can't wait for you to watch me rise from the ashes of this like period of horrible videos where I'm like really self-aware and complaining and explaining. So Saturday is like an echo of Monday, just from a different place, from a funner, more Jupiter-ruled place. So the moon is in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter in Cancer. I wanted to say it was coming from a more stable place, but it's just like a more, if not stable, then resourced, which I'm certainly experiencing. Jupiter is my ascendant ruler. Maybe not stable, but certainly resourced in one way or another. And the moon trines Venus in the evening, so like late afternoon, early evening, most of the day on Saturday. So all those crazy, the aspects like that are like touching all the outer planets, all of those happen first thing in the morning. And then most of the day is just the moon applying to a trine with Venus. So Saturday seems pretty nice. The moon is also building in light. We have the, hang on. I said that really nonchalantly, the moon is building in light, and then I was like, wait a minute. It's building in light towards a lunar eclipse on September 7th. So not as nonchalant as, you know, it's not like your everyday moon building in light. We're headed towards a lunar eclipse on the North Node. And what else? On Sunday is just the moon sextiling Mars, so have something to do. Wash your car or fix something around the house. This is the moon in Sagittarius sextiling Mars in Libra, so maybe, I can't think of anything right now. Do like a walk and talk to hash something out with someone you have beef with. That's a really whatever example. That's all Sunday is. And then for some reason, I prepare like many weeks in advance, and I did not prepare. For some reason, I'm missing the week after this. I don't know what happens first thing Monday morning yet. We'll just have to wait like commoners to find out what happens on Monday morning. And take very good care of each other. And remember, your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.